Aloha and welcome everyone to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and their staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, you've just got to check out Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific and President of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. And it's my pleasure to introduce, Paul Tonneson is here with us today. Hi, Paul.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Paul's the Executive Director of the Friends of the... Hello, Children. What? Run
Friends
that by me again.
of the Children's Justice Center.
Gosh, I wanted to get...
Of Maui Incorporated.
Okay, well, let's get the whole thing in there, right? Okay. I don't know why that was so hard to come out. I want to get the children up sooner. I guess that was my problem. Anyway, Paul's going to be our co-host for today, and he's going to tell us who we're going to be talking to.
Great. Each week during this hour, we share the experiences of how our nonprofit agencies are working to benefit our island home with stories of how these agencies are changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those in need. And today we have Joy Lynn Palman, and she is with Maui Nui Botanical Gardens. And also we have Frances Duberstein. She is with Aloha House, Malama Family Recovery Center, and Maui Youth and Family Service. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Aloha.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
That was a mouthful.
You did good. I like your accent.
It's Boston. See?
Boston.
People don't understand where the Pilgrims landed. That's a test. Where did they land?
In
Plymouth.
Massachusetts.
Right?
Yeah.
Where'd they come from?
Boston?
No.
England?
England. So that means I speak proper English.
Oh, I see. That's where we were going with this.
Wow.
Interesting. The Pilgrims didn't know where they were, though. They thought they'd found... What was it they thought they found? I just heard that when I was back on the mainland for vacation a couple weeks ago. I drove for like 6 hours one day, and I listened to everything possible on the radio. I mean, it's the liberals, it's the conservatives, it's the, name it. And then there was the folks with the facts that you don't know and never knew that in school you were taught wrong. Matter of fact, it was Discovery Day. Wasn't that just last month?
Yep, that was just a
Columbus
couple
Day.
weeks ago.
Yeah, the 14th or something. And they were talking about Columbus didn't know where he was. He died thinking he had found something else. Anyway, it's like you got to hear the story to get the gist of it. We'll go on, moving right along. We have something really exciting coming up for those of you who are into trees. Yes.
Yes, we do. At Maui Nui Botanical Gardens, we got an exciting event on Saturday, November 2nd. It is our Arbor Day 1,000 Hawaiian tree giveaway. And we do this every year, I think for probably the last 7 or 8 years, where we literally give away at least 1,000 trees into our community.
And these are native Hawaiian trees.
Native Hawaiian and Polynesian introduced species. So generally they're Hawaiian trees.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Are they started right there at the gardens?
about half of the trees that we give away are grown straight from the garden. And we're able to do that because the county's Department of Water Supply helps fund us for that particular native tree giveaway. And then we also have the other 500 trees that are brought in by Maui Electric Company. And so because growing trees in our community helps our environment and our urban landscape, and it actually connects people to our environment better, then that's why these different entities support.
Gotcha. So
Arbor Day.
what are the trees, like 3 or 4 feet high?
Yeah, just a couple of
Ready
feet
to just
high. Ready.
pull out of the black container in the
pot,
ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the ground. Don't
Yeah.
keep it in the pot, though.
That's right. That's right. Trees want to be planted in the ground, and that's definitely what we encourage everybody to do. So basically, the first 1,000 people that walk through our gates on Saturday will be eligible for a free tree. Whether you're a baby or a kupuna, anybody can come and get a free tree. There's just a simple survey that needs to be filled out in order to walk out of the garden with your tree.
So if a family comes in with 3 or 4 people, can they leave with 3 trees?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes, yes. And it's fun because there's so many different trees to choose from. I think we have over 25 species of trees available for the community to choose from. So
Are there any names we're familiar with on these trees?
Koa? Do you know a
Koa,
koa
there we
tree?
go. Okay,
All
all right.
right. So we have koa trees. Sometimes we have some ulu. We also have, let's see, some of the more rare ones are Iliahi aloe. So this is a sandalwood tree.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people don't even know what sandalwood looks like, but they can come to the garden and see what a full-grown sandalwood tree looks like because we have that on our property. We also have a'ali'i, which is a beautiful tree that can get to be 10, 15 feet tall. And when its seeds start to form, it produces this beautiful dark red seed capsule that's used for making lei.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We also got kamani trees, which have perfectly round seeds that are used for lei as well. And we got a whole bunch of different trees. Some are medicinal and some are used just as ornamentals in the garden, such as hibiscus. And we even have the nanu, which is our Hawaiian gardenia.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it looks kind of like the Tahitian.
Yeah.
What is it? Tahitian tiare.
Okay.
And this one is a smaller version, but it's very fragrant.
Well, I love gardenias.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yes.
I've got a bunch of them in my yard, and it's hard to keep them from getting that black stuff on them. That just, it kills the buds so they
Right.
don't bloom. And you go out and you take that stuff and you rub it on those branches and try to get that black at least started to get rid of it. But if it rains that first day after you've done it, you lose it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you want rain? Tell me to come over and work on your gardenias. I guarantee it'll rain that night.
Yeah, so we'll be having the giveaway, and we'll also have some food available for people that come, and we'll have a couple of demonstrations. David Sakota, who's our county arborist, will be giving a demonstration about, I think it's planting the right tree in the right place. And Terry Nutt will be there to give a demonstration about how to properly prune a tree. So we try to make it an educational experience for everybody who comes and really encourage them to stop and stay at the garden, not just come through and pick up your free tree and see you next year. We want people to come and explore the garden and see what their fully mature tree could look like, but also see all the other amazing native plants that we have in our garden. Maui Nui Botanical Garden specializes in native Hawaiian trees and Polynesian introduced trees within a coastal environment, especially those from the islands of Maui Nui. So we have a large variety of coastal plant species that are available.
How large is the garden, acres-wise?
The main garden area is probably about 4 acres or so, and then we have about an acre of for our nursery area in the back.
So it's easy walking around looking at things and
Absolutely, yes.
getting up close and personal with the plants.
Yes, and people in wheelchairs and walkers all have easy access to the garden as well. So we encourage everybody to come.
Okay. And usually parking gets pretty crowded. Well, you end up over in the stadium lot. Is that
Yeah,
where
the
people-
county's
yeah.
allowing us to use the stadium parking lot, and we thank them for that.
right? And for those who don't know exactly where the gardens are,
That's right. We are located at 150 Kanaloa Avenue, right across from the War Memorial Stadium.
it's a great place.
It's wonderful.
What time does the event go to? And
Thank you.
From and to?
So it's this Saturday, November 2nd, from 9 a.m. to 12. We do often have a lot of people lined up starting from 8 o'clock in the morning.
I was going to say, I remember one of your events going by there to go to work one Saturday morning.
Right.
I thought, what's all this? What's going
Everybody
on
gets
over there?
excited. They know November's coming up. They know
Yeah.
Arbor Day's coming up, and that this is the time to get your free tree.
Right.
And right before we open the gates, we're going to be having Rob Parsons, who's the county environmental coordinator, represent the mayor, and he'll be reading out proclamation in honor of Arbor Day as well.
Cool.
So we thank all of them for helping us out. And
So Arbor Day,
yes,
how'd they get started? What is it?
it's a day for loving trees.
Trees.
I wish I knew the full background as to how it started. I did read something a while ago about it, but
It's not tied to Johnny Appleseed or any of that kind of stuff.
not too sure.
Okay, all
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
I guess
No,
next
that's
year.
okay.
Next year I'll be better
we go.
prepared to answer
You're
that
on.
question for you, okay?
I'll make a note. You're on.
But I do want to also mention that we have some other community organizations that are going to be there as well with their booths, including a lot of the watershed partnerships from East Maui, West Maui, and Leeward Haleakala. Haleakala National Park will be there, the Native Hawaiian Plant Society, Maui Outdoor Circle, and Maui Invasive Species Committee. So a lot of people that malama our aina, take care of our land, will be there to help promote having these trees in our urban landscape.
So it sounds like the place to go if you have questions that haven't been answered about what
Yes.
you're trying to grow or not having much luck growing.
Yes, and this is a day when we have some of the plant experts on Maui come and be available for people to ask those types of questions, and that's why we do these demonstrations. And we really have to thank Ka'ulunani Community and Urban Forestry Program for helping us to fund this annually. They do fund a lot of Arbor Day events throughout the state, and we're fortunate that for several years now they've supported our event here on Maui. So
Great.
yes.
And that is what is that organization?
It's part of DLNR actually,
Oh,
and they
okay.
get funding through the federal government.
Oh, okay.
So their purpose is just getting
Promotion.
trees out into the community. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. So are you thinking about planting a tree at your place,
Yeah,
Paul?
I'm thinking about that. And I also had a question about, there's a lot of invasive
Mm-hmm.
plants that were bought here. So do you guys work with that programs at all?
Well, we do periodically partner with Maui Invasive Species Committee, who takes care of the invasive plants. There's actually a difference between, I think what you're mentioning is more of the introduced species that are just brought here, but they're not very aggressive in our environment, whereas invasive species definitely take over and overcrowd places very quickly and take over our native habitats. So we encourage, planting any kind of tree, well, any introduced or Hawaiian tree in our urban landscape, but definitely we don't want people planting any invasive species because that's a big no-no for just
Well,
our
that's what,
environment in
and
general.
I think this is the whole purpose of the event on Saturday, to give out 1,000 trees and have 1,000 native Hawaiian
Yes.
trees planted is rejuvenating back to
Yes.
the original state, which is nice.
But what's also cool about it is that the trees come with their stories of their own. Like I mentioned, like one of our trees that we're going to be having is the akea. It might not look like much, but Hawaiians used to use it as when they went fishing, and they threw parts of the plant into the tide pool, and then it would stun the fish, and then the fish would slowly float up to the top, and the fishermen could grab what they wanted. And then after a couple of minutes, the toxin wore off. So, all these cool stories that go behind the plants are something that we want the community to learn about as well.
Ooh, sounds like a great way to fish.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to be quick.
Well, I just learned the history of the taro plant, which
Yes.
was very interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's amazing how they just, all these, the history behind all of these, and, the Hawaiian culture and how they're tied to it.
Yes.
So,
Well, a lot of people can learn about these Hawaiian stories behind the plants by coming on a tour that we have offered throughout the week. We have an audio tour that if you just come through the garden, you can just get that for $5, or you can schedule a docent to guide you through the garden on certain days of the week. by just calling us at 249-2798.
249.
2798. And we're open Monday through Saturdays from 8 to 4.
Great. And we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
Aloha, this is Maui Nonprofit Notes. Today talking story with Joylyn Paman, who is the Executive Director of the Maui Nui Botanical Garden. We're talking about Arbor Day, which is coming up on Saturday. And during the break, I asked her a question that kind of startled her. I said, how did you get from marine science into plants? And she said, wait, how did you know that I had anything to do with marine science? And I said, on your website, there's a little biographical sketch.
Forgot about that.
So how does one go from the water to the plants?
Well, I was fortunate enough after graduating from UH Hilo in 98 to come back to Maui and do an internship in Kihei at the Humpback Whale Sanctuary. And there's a native Hawaiian fish pond of Ko'i'e'ie right there, where really got me involved with merging the Hawaiian culture with my marine science, my love for marine science. And as I was educating our youth about that, you know, you can't talk about the ocean without talking about what happens mauka of that. And so with the ahupua'a concept of whatever happens at mauka affects what happens makai, it just gradually became an interest for me to just encompass everything.
Gotcha.
And then I had a job for a couple of years at MISC, Maui Invasive Species Committee, as their PR specialist. And that really opened my eyes to what invasive species are doing to our native forests. And then after having my kids for a couple of years, decided to come back to work, and the garden was my best fit. And I've been there for almost 3 years now, and I'm loving it because I can integrate the Mauka Makai concept, and it actually works out pretty well, where we partner a lot with the local, with the fish pond. Still,
yeah,
I'm still heavily involved with that project as well.
What gives you? It sounds like it gives you a better understanding of to have the whole picture.
Absolutely.
Something that most of us don't get. We like something or we don't like it, but we're not sure why.
Right.
And you know why something is there because it's come full circle or whatever.
Exactly. It is full circle for me. And when I'm out there teaching the kids, it's so much easier and natural for me to talk about what happens mauka, because I understand that better with working with the garden and with MISC in the past. And then now I also have the information about what happens makai. So it's kind of my life mission is to encourage our next generation to think of our island in a holistic way and make sure that they understand what happens at mauka affects what happens makai.
It must be wonderful to see some of the success stories as people learn about this, and maybe it's just why my plant's not growing or spreading or doing what it's supposed to do, when you can come in and show them, well, if you do this or it needs more of that, and then a couple years later there's this beautiful plant or beautiful tree or whatever.
Right. Well, I would tell you, I didn't know that I didn't know a lot about native plants until I went to the garden. And every day that we're there, I learned new things. I mean, I'm Native Hawaiian, born and raised Hawaii, and I didn't know that there were all these varieties of taro. And at one point, there were over 300 varieties of taro by the Hawaiians. But now there's only about 84 Hawaiian and Pacific varieties still existing in Hawaii. And we have about 60 of those at the garden. So coming from a background with Hawaiian language as well, it's great to listen to the names of the different varieties and break it down and understand why it's called what it is. And like, oh, that's a manini type of kalo because it has stripes just like the manini fish. And, cool stuff like, you come down to the garden, I take you around.
Yeah, it sounds like I'd like to spend a day with you down there.
Yeah, that would be fun. We'll both learn things.
Yeah, just checking it out. Because that's the fun of it. I mean, walking around looking, oh, yeah, that's a tree.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
that's a
It's
plant.
all about education.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's the story behind the tree.
Yes.
Is it native? Or was it brought here for a purpose?
Right.
I mean, we do have lots of plants and animals that are brought here on purpose, but that purpose has long passed and now they're invasive.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes they do become invasive. But at the garden, too, we also have a lot of endemic species and endangered species. So endemic are the species that cannot be found anywhere else in the world. And we've been fortunate that some species that we have in the garden have been able to thrive better in the garden versus in the wild where they're from. We have the alula plant right now that's in the garden, and it's only 1 or 2 wild populations left on some sea cliffs in Molokai. And we had like 40 seedlings that were given to us 2 years ago, and we've been able to propagate that, and we actually make that available to the public now to take home.
Wow.
So a lot of these cool endangered species are what we grow at the garden, and then we try to get it out to the community as well.
There's a whole other way of saving the world.
Yeah, we're
One
saving the
species at
natural
a
world.
time. The natural world, yeah. That's exciting. Now, is this the biggest event of the year for you? Or you've got one other,
Yes,
don't
this
you?
one, and we've had Earth Day in the past.
Day.
Yeah, next year we're probably not going to do Earth Day. We're going to try to change it up a little bit and do a similar conservation-oriented event, but maybe push it back to June or so, where it's less busy of a time, because April is pretty hectic for everyone, with the East Maui Taro Festival, Ag Fest going on, and a whole bunch of other Keiki Fests going on. So we're going to probably do a larger event in June next year.
I see. Well, have a great Saturday.
Thanks. Aren't you coming?
I'm trying to think if I can.
Come for
Well,
your free treat.
Yeah, well, I remember the first, one of the first years that you did this. I was walking my dog in the afternoon and walked by my neighbor's house, and he had these pots sitting out in front that he'd just taken out of his truck. And I said, "What the heck? You've been shopping at the nursery?" He goes, "Nope, I went to Arbor Day."
Yeah.
And then he was telling me about it, and I go, "Well, that's pretty cool, And now, of course, they're nice trees.
Yes. And if you miss your tree on Arbor Day, because there's 1,000 other people who are going to be there, you can always just stop by our office. We do sell Hawaiian plants on a regular basis through our office.
Now, is there an admission fee other days?
No, not at this time.
Never an admission fee to come to the garden.
Not right now. Possibly in the near future, we might be tending towards that. Yeah.
Might have to.
We're
huh?
kind of toying with the idea, trying to be a little bit more self-sustaining of an organization.
Gotcha.
Is there volunteer opportunities at the gardens?
Yes, thank you for asking about that. Just this morning, we had our Weed and Pot Club.
I love the name of that club.
Yeah.
I just
Susie likes that.
I used to belong to it.
Really, I've never seen you there. Now,
they have neat T-shirts too that they
yes,
have
we
sell at
have
Weed and Pot
T-shirts
Club.
of Weed and Pot Club. So let me clarify exactly what that means.
Thank you.
Is that every Wednesday morning from 8:30 to 10:30, volunteers, anyone can walk in and help volunteer for 2 hours. And that's basically helping us maintain our garden area by weeding, raking, taking care of our plants in the garden. And then we spend the second hour potting plants down at our nursery. So that's where the weed and pot words come together.
I've got to get over there and get one of those shirts. I think I said that last year when we talked. It just catches me.
Willie Nelson has one of our
Oh,
shirts.
does he? I'll bet.
Yes, he does. One of our board members is proud to present him with one. And he had a big smile on his
I'll
face.
bet he did. Cool. So see, they work hard, they play hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you can go
it's
to the
all good.
website
Yes.
Is that how you can like look at the volunteers or opportunities and other things?
Yes, our website is www.mnbg.org. So that stands for Maui Nui Botanical Gardens. And once again, we're open Monday through Saturday from 8 to 4. And we're located right across the War Memorial Stadium in Kahului at 150 Kanaloa Avenue.
So on Saturday, November 2nd, be one of the first 1,000 people to stop by and get your tree.
From 9 to 12.
9 to 12 is the event. Take a look around, see what's there, see what... you're going to have some specialists walking around that can help people
Yes.
with questions they have besides at the booths.
Yes, some of our volunteers, some of our known botanists on the island will be there as well as our demonstrators. We're going to have food there and drinks, and we'll also have our conservation organizations.
Anything specifically for the keiki?
The free tree.
Free tree. There you go.
I think I'm getting my events mixed up. Yeah, I don't think we have anything specific for the keiki this time around, but definitely if you see us in June for our new conservation event, then
That'll be their day.
Yes, that will definitely be
all
their
right.
day.
This is more the adults' day where but you can bring the kids along.
Absolutely. Yes, because they can
Sit
have their
and
own
look
tree
around.
too. I mean, wouldn't it be cool to bring a 1-year-old child this year and get a free tree, and in 18 years when they graduate, they can stand next to their tree in a picture and be
That's
like,
true.
hey,
That's
this is
true.
the tree I planted for my Arbor Day event at Maui Nui Botanical Gardens.
I used to do that. I had Christmas trees growing in my yard that I was going to sell when they got to be 5 years old, right, and tall enough to sell. And I had a blight that hit them the year before. 500 trees just wiped out. And everybody said, "What happened to those beautiful trees?" And I go, "Yeah, don't remind me, please.
Wow.
I don't want to. I
That's
don't
a
want to
big
picture
yard
all that
you had.
again."
That's a big yard.
Well, we had it in a half an acre for
Wow.
500 trees.
Wow.
But I had 2.5 acres, so but that was the plan.
still-
We planted 100 trees every year because Christmas trees you can plant pretty close together.
Wow.
That helps remind you to keep them trimmed and in
Yes.
shape and stuff. And I said, I just wish I could have saved one of them, just as a reminder of how I thought I could be a tree farmer.
Yep.
Yeah, but it takes special care and love and attention. Some trees
It
do.
does. It does.
And you guys have got the touch, and we encourage everyone out there to stop by on Saturday. If you can't make it Saturday, any other day, just don't go by there on Sunday because you'll have to stand outside and look in.
There you go. Yeah, and like I said, if you want to learn more about the trees and the plants that we have those different tours available. Self-guided tour brochure. We have our audio tour, and we have our docent-led tours.
Great. Joylyn, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Susie.
Hey,
It's been wonderful being
have
here
a good
with
one.
both of you.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
We're going to shift gears now. We're going to talk to Frances Duberstein, who is with Aloha House, Maui Youth and Family Services, and Malama Family Recovery Center, the Tri-Agency, which was formed, what's it been, 5 years?
In 2008, so that would be 5 years.
Whoa,
yes.
good guess, huh?
Yeah.
I remember it made headlines. We were all talking about it. Wow. Now, the thing I think that most people didn't understand was that they weren't merging the agencies as such into one big agency. The back room is what really merged.
What it is that each agency still has their own 501c3 status, their own unique mission, own unique funding stream, but there is one overarching administration, so executive director, finance, development, which is what I do, and there is one board of directors. There's also an overarching vision, even though they each have their own mission statement. So it's kind of a three-headed monster is the way that I like to refer to it.
Three-headed I don't think I'd use the term monster.
Well, isn't that a happy monster considering
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go.
Halloween?
More heads, it makes it happy. Yeah.
I see.
You're doing
Okay.
such great work for the community.
That's cool. Yeah, it really is. And I was just before the show, I was saying that for some reason I had in the back of my mind, there's two of them that fit together, like Aloha House and Malama Family Recovery Center, but the Maui Youth and Family Services seem to be kind of a different creature in this mix. But as I read through the website and what each one does, there really is interconnection
Yes.
amongst all three.
So that overarching vision that I mentioned, that unified vision, is that every individual has the help they need to achieve and maintain a foundation for lasting recovery and well-being. So Maui Youth and Family Services is a little bit different in that we have a little bit more of prevention programs, which makes sense if you're dealing with youth. But we do have programs that step in and help people who are already going down sort of the path that you don't want to go down, which is where more Aloha House and Malama are. There's less prevention with them.
So they're picking up the pieces,
Yeah,
so to speak.
exactly. We like to think by merging, we're able to provide a more a continuum of care now. The idea is that you cut down on those overhead and administrative costs, and by doing that, you can save more money. You can have more money for the programs.
Right.
And that's definitely what we've seen as a result of this merger.
And I understand from Judd Cunningham, who's your executive director,
Yes, he is.
that it took some doing to really turn it around. It wasn't as simple as just saying, okay, now there's just one back room here.
No.
Doing everything. It took a few years to figure out just exactly how to piece this thing together.
Well, what's interesting is Aloha House and Malama Family Recovery Center actually had merged a few years before Maui Youth and Family Services joined. And it is a complicated venture because you have, first we had two board of directors coming into one, and then you had a third one, and so you have a lot of people who sort of need to get to know each other. And then there are a lot of administrative little things that have to be taken care of. But we feel that since that merger, the tri-agency, they are so much stronger together than they were independently.
Right. And now the board has settled into a board, as I understand it, of people who are interested in all three areas.
Yes.
Not one specific side.
Yeah, when we first merged, you would have board members who came from one agency versus another, and then naturally they're going to maybe be a little bit more interested in their agency. But, we really, as the years have gone by, I can tell during the board meetings, it's not like certain people are, stop listening when one agency is being talked about versus another. And we have board members helping out with fundraising activities for all three agencies. So there's definitely, it's not like they're being forced together.
Gotcha. It's become cohesive.
Yes.
Which is great. Okay, now also you're kind of spread out.
Yes.
Around at least this side of the island.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your facilities.
So for those who just aren't even familiar with the organizations at all, let me just say that we help individuals and families affected by addiction, substance abuse, and mental health issues. Aloha House they all have residential and outpatient programs. Aloha House has a residential location upcountry off of Baldwin Avenue, and up there we also have crisis residential services. Located up close to that, we have our outpatient substance abuse treatment program that is part of Maui Youth and Family Services. We actually opened adolescent substance abuse outpatient treatment services over in Lahaina a couple years ago. So youth who are over on the west side can now get help. They aren't restricted because of that. Aloha House, it's drug court, which provides an alternative to incarceration for individuals who have committed a crime where it's figured out that drugs or alcohol has played a part. That's their offices are located downtown in Wailuku. Same with outpatient substance abuse treatment program. And then Malama Family Recovery Center, it's probably the most centered of the three in terms of location. Our therapeutic living program, which is a residential treatment program for women. Malama Family Recovery Center is a gender-specific treatment program. That's located in Kahului. And within that building, we have outpatient services available, and our sober living facilities are right down there in Kahului as well. And let me just say about Malama, we are the only agency on the island that allows women to have children living with them while they're getting treatment. That's huge, because women don't only not have to give up their children, we actually provide services for the children. But you are right that we are physically spread kind of all around the island, which is a good thing because that means that people can get help,
Right.
kind of no matter where they are.
Right. And on that note, we're going to take another short break.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back one more time. Last third of the show coming up, Paul.
I know.
You going to make it through it?
I'm going to make it through. Actually, I love the idea of what they did with the Aloha House and Malama Family Recovery Center and Maui Youth and Family, because it's strengthening the family. You know, it's like a co-location. Even though you're not in one facility, you're focused on one mission.
Very much so.
And it all goes back to, I keep seeing, strengthening the family. 'Cause
Yes.
that's something very near and dear to me, and I actually teach a class on Wednesday mornings to children at risk.
Yeah, we strongly do believe that family can be involved and should be involved in the recovery process if it's deemed that that's appropriate. Sometimes the family is where a lot of the problems are stemming from, and you don't want to reintroduce the family. For example, with Maui Youth and Family Services, we have foster care programs when you are removing the children from the home. The ultimate goal, though, is to work with the family to reunify them. And all three programs, if it's deemed that it's appropriate for family to be involved in the recovery process, they are. And what's really sort of touching to see at Aloha House for the residential treatment program, they have 4 times a year a graduation for individuals who have completed treatment, and they have a little ceremony, and often family members will attend. And you can see the pride on the family members' faces. So we're not just working with the individual who is dealing with the problem, we're working with their whole family. So that's why it's not just maybe rehab, we have therapists, we have family therapists, social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists. It's a whole broad range of treatment activities. So you're not just helping the individual, you're helping their family, and in turn then the community by creating these stronger families.
And the thing is, too, what I see a lot of is, you know, a child acts out, and you brought this up earlier, you know, it's usually punishment. Where you're looking at it differently, there's a reason. Let's treat the reason. You know, and a lot of children don't get that opportunity. You know, they have the consequences, but no one's looking at a child saying, why?
Yeah, exactly. And what I really admire about our foster care program is our foster parents, it's called therapeutic foster care for a reason. The parents are trained to help the kids deal with the issues that they are going through. So although the ultimate goal is to reunify the kids with their families, while they are out of the house, they're being put in a safe home environment, and so you can sort of take a time out physically from the kid with their family and figure out what the issues are. But we're not just sticking them in any old home. These foster parents are trained, and they go to meetings once a month with our counselors. So it's very much a group process.
That's terrific. That's great. For those who may have just joined us, we're talking with Frances Duberstein, who's the development coordinator for Aloha House, Maui Youth and Family Services, and Malama Family Recovery Center, the Maui's tri-agency organization. I just, we talk often about how nonprofits, finances are always an issue. Mm-hmm. And they, of course, took the bull by the horns and said, okay, the biggest problem with most agencies is the back room. You've got to have certain computer systems. You've got to have a certain level of financial responsibility. Your executive director has to be of a certain stature. And in order to do that, there has to be X amount of money to be able to hire these people. And so they took the bull by the horns, literally, and said, okay, if we have a good financial person, a good executive director, and we fill in the blanks, we can cut the staff. And I don't know what the numbers were and how many people they were able to settle in on in that back office, but obviously it makes a lot of sense because what you're wanting to do is to get as much money out front to the programs as possible.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what you're doing, and I think we're seeing that in some ways in a lot of agencies where, I think there was a time when the executive director was the executive director. But now the executive director is a caseworker or a case manager or a program person almost as much of the time as being the executive director. What do you think, Paul?
No, I love the whole concept that Judd and all these folks worked on. I mean, I think it's amazing that you can focus from the family to the child. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you can look at the overall thing. You can give housing, and it to me, it's a huge thing. Collaboration or strength in numbers. I'm huge into collaborating. I collaborate with anyone and everyone I can, and I come out always with a much more positive, cost-effective product in the end, whatever it is.
Right.
And I mean, so this.
And it's not only saving on those administrative costs. Our agencies can collaborate more, even more, just from the fact that they are a tri-agency. But if someone is referred for services, let's say through Aloha House, but it's deemed that they would really benefit from being in that gender-specific environment down at Malama, there's a lot less barriers to get them from Aloha House to Malama maybe than there would be if they were
separate agency.
Separate, exactly.
Referrals easier.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And we see that a lot of agencies do the referrals from one to another. And I think that after the first couple of years of this experiment is what a lot of people were calling the tri-agency effect. Other agencies talked about maybe we could get together and do this, and of course we've not seen anybody else really do that. We've seen a couple that have merged one on one, but the bottom line is we are seeing a lot more collaboration because no one agency can do it all.
Exactly.
And nor should they try, because there are agencies out there that do different pieces of what's needed.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think that if an agency tries to do it all, they're going to spread themselves too thin.
Right.
And so that's why it's nice that each of our agencies was able to retain their unique mission. I know that when a staff member comes in, let's say they're a counselor, they think of themselves as working, let's say, for Maui Youth and Family Services or working for Malama Family Recovery Center, which I think is probably good because it allows them to sort of focus more on what they're doing, while the administrative things that the counselors really shouldn't have to be dealing with can be dealt with, in a much more efficient way.
Right.
I think that goes back to what Susie's saying. So many people are trying to do too many jobs.
Yeah.
And, that's why I look at this, and here we go. We've got 3 different missions, but we got a vision for all 3 under the umbrella, which is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you've got your board of directors, and you got Judd overseeing all 3, but he's got a vision, with like coexisting.
Exactly. Yeah.
So have the different agencies grown as a result of this? Can they serve more people?
I would say that Since we've merged, I mentioned before that Maui Youth and Family Services opened outpatient substance abuse, adolescent outpatient substance abuse treatment over in
Say that fast.
over in Lahaina. Since we merged, I can't say it's definitely because of the merge, but I think that all three agencies are definitely stronger now, and they wouldn't have been able to sort of branch out like that. At Malama Family Recovery Center, we were able to build a new therapeutic living program facility that allows us to help more clients, and we've also been able to get more sober living housing. Same with Aloha House. So we are serving more clients than we were before, and I think that you can't say, oh, without the merger that wouldn't have happened, but I think that in some ways you can say that, because if you're a fledgling agency, you're less likely to take on more sort of risk, even if there's a definite need. And we did these changes because we saw a need. So I would say that they have grown.
Cool. Good.
No, I mean, yeah, definitely, everything in here is about healthy lifestyles, empowerment, and you're dealing with the families, and again, as a volunteer, when I work with these kids, a lot of the issues are the families. So if you're getting a family into recovery, you can address the children. Mm-hmm. And I just want to ask you, like you mentioned, the foster parents.
Yes.
How does one get involved with that?
Actually, we are actively recruiting therapeutic foster care parents. Thank you for bringing that up. I encourage anyone who is, it's basically anyone who is interested, they would talk to our staff and get an idea of what is involved, because then they would go through the training. What I would say is, if anyone is interested, don't hesitate to contact us, because you never know if you, and it's not like you're going to be taking on a huge amount of kids. It's usually they'll have maybe one, maybe two kids at a time. But I would say go to the Maui Youth and Family Services website, and we've had some changes recently, so there's actually more updated things than this. But there's on the About, I believe it's the About Us page, it has contact information for the Therapeutic Foster Care Program, and call the number on there. And we would be absolutely thrilled to have more foster families, because we have a waiting list for kids who need to, I'm sure, Paul, you can understand.
I assume that, yes.
Yeah, and so thank you so much for bringing that up. Anyone who is interested, you might think that you're not capable of doing this, but we provide so much support for our foster families, and they become their own sort of little family. They get together once a month, and it's such an amazing service for these kids.
What age groups are we talking about for the kids?
For the foster care, it's usually 10 to 17.
Okay.
We can take younger than 10, but we're not seeing that very much. It's 10 to 17, yeah.
So they go to the website, www.myfs for Maui Youth Family Service.org.
.org, yeah. On the About Us page lists our different programs, and it also has the contact information for the different programs.
Because I know with my agency, when they hear about stories in the community, we're all going out and living our lives, and stable and whatever, and you don't, a lot of people say, I didn't know that existed on Maui. Mm-hmm. So I mean, this is a good exposure that there are children out there that need a healthy family to empower them. All these things you talk about, become responsible.
Yeah, and when these foster kids come, they're not staying there for years. As I said, reunifying with the family is the ultimate goal. So if you're signing up, you're not signing on to take on a kid for 5, 6, 7 years. And you are also subsidized in terms of the cost.
So if there's 3 or 4 kids from a family, will they go from someone who's in care? Will they go to one foster home together?
I don't know if we have that circumstance a lot.
Okay.
You would think that we would, but I haven't heard of that.
Really?
I think
One or two usually.
maybe one or two. And I don't 100% know the answer to that question. But I would say that if there was a therapeutic foster home that had the capability to take two kids and they were from the same family, and that was the smart thing to do, it might be smarter that the kids are not kept together.
That's true.
So whatever is best for the kids, because that's the ultimate goal, I'm sure that we would do our best to make it so they could stay together if that's what's
Yeah.
appropriate.
That's interesting. Yeah, I can see both sides.
Yeah, and I like the idea you say separating the children, because the behaviors they learn in an environment, sometimes to take them and put them in a healthy environment, help build their self-esteem and whatever other issues they may have, maybe medical or mental health.
And it's, I mean, I've talked to foster parents where they say, it's not like these kids are on a vacation. They have to help with the dishes. They have to help with chores. But a lot of times being a part of a normal functioning family is very therapeutic in itself. And so it's not a vacation. These kids are learning how maybe they should communicate in everyday situations with other family members, and how they should deal with their emotions with their family members in the way that's most productive.
Right. And it's, children learn from the experiences that they have within the family setting. And so if there's something missing that's caused this problem within the family, and they then are exposed to, as you said, quote, a normal family, as we think of it, they have the opportunity to learn there is another way of living.
Exactly.
And we don't think about that very often, that not everybody grows up the same way we did. Not that it was perfect, or not that it was maybe not even the best, but we all grew up under different circumstances, and that's what makes life interesting for us, is to grow up and then to begin to mingle with everybody else and find out our differences, and sometimes our differences make us who we are.
That's true.
Almost more importantly than our similarities.
Exactly. It's just learning how to deal with whatever emotions or issues are going on, and sometimes a timeout is needed. Aloha House and Malama, by having residential programs, like I consider the therapeutic foster care a residential program for Maui Youth and Family Services, it provides that much needed timeout from whatever daily things are contributing to whether or not someone is using drugs or drinking. So it's very much about the reunification, but I can't stress enough, only as much as that is appropriate, because sometimes you need to get out of that environment. And another thing that our counselors and case managers stress is connecting clients with sober support in the community. So if someone leaves their home and comes into a residential program, and returning to their home is not appropriate, we make sure they're connected with sober support in the community when they leave.
Gotcha. Wow, what a fabulous 25 minutes that was.
That's
learning
great.
a lot.
Thank you both for all you do. for the
Thank you.
community.
And to get a hold of you, 442-6588. Is that a
Actually,
good number? No?
That is, that's for if you need help, if you're in a crisis situation.
Okay.
To call me, 579-8414, extension 8102.
Great. Okay, thank you. And we're pushing the end here. Today we visited with Maui Nui Botanical Gardens and with Aloha House and the Tri-Agency. Come and join us again next Wednesday, same time, same place. We'll talk to two more agencies. I'm Susie Tiemann, and
I'm Paul Tonneson.
everybody have a great week. Aloha.